Hariran. Hope you are doing good. I just reviewed your CV. It's look good. Could you please tell about yourself?
Hey, hi, yes, ma'am. So my name Hari. I'm from basically Coimbatore. So right now I'm working as a Azure DevOps engineer. Overall, right, I'm having around 4+ years of experience with Azure and DevOps, all those things. So I used to work with virtual machine, Azure Active Directory, and virtual network, VNet, storage account, and monitoring and load balancers. Apart from that, DevOps perspective, I used to be work with the ARM and Azure Functions and Azure Runbook. Parallelly, we use Jenkins for our DevOps activity, and we have a PowerShell script for automating the things and stuff. So this is my background. Also in our project, right, we have Jira as the ticketing tool. We used to there is a dedicated team for monitoring all the resources, and I'm playing the role of SME comes DevOps. So whenever there is an implementation, there is something troubleshooting needed. So the team which I'm part of, we are the responsible one to taking care of our customers' infrastructure, which hosted it on Azure. So this is basically about myself.
Okay, let's move on to questions. Can you please explain about your Azure subscription details of current infrastructure?
Yeah, about our Azure subscription, right? So we have close to around 40 different subscriptions. Yeah, I'll tell you why. In my client, right, due to some confidential reason, I cannot share my client name. So I'll tell you on high level. Okay, we are supporting one insurance-based company. Basically, they are out of UK. So they have many sub-client actually for each district of their locations. Each and every people, right? They used to have their own subscriptions actually. Okay, we have a directory, Azure directory. In that Azure directory, we have many subscriptions. Each and every client, right, by default, they'll have 3 subscriptions. One is for production, another one is for there's something called sandbox, and another one is for testing. Okay, production subscription is most critical one. The priority of sandbox, the mirror copy of my production, which will be there in my sandbox subscription. Finally, testing, when we develop something or testing something, the respective client will test it on top of testing subscriptions. So likewise, we have a close to 50 to 60 different subscriptions associated in my Azure account right now.
Okay, could you please explain your current Azure network architecture?
Yeah, sure. Coming to the network perspective, right? Predominantly, we are focused into 3 different Azure regions. Okay, so one is Central India, another one is Central US, and we have European. We have a region. These 3 regions only we are predominantly using it. Each and every region we have a VNet. Okay, we used to have a 2 VNet. One is for our general activity and things and stuff. The another VNet for the container service Kubernetes. For that purpose, we have a dedicated VNet. So likewise, 3 region, each will have a 2 region by the mean. Totally put together around 6 VNets available per subscriptions. Okay, across the VNet, right, we established the VNet peering. By the way, they will all will have a communication, okay, by each other. From my Azure subscription, right, I established express route connectivity to my on-premises. So by the way, my on-premises will have a connection to my Azure subscription and the resources. By the way, we are always in sync with our on-prem environment. There's a dedicated on-premises team available. They'll take care of all firewall and things and stuff on the physical location. So this is how we maintain our network. For providing security, right, we use the network security group, kind of ACL. Will apply it on top of subnet level. So whichever the port is really needed, we'll open them. So rest all going to be by default denied. Okay, so this is what pretty much about our current network infrastructure, ma'am.
Okay, could you please explain about possible Azure scalability?
Yeah. So coming to Azure scalability, right? We have plenty of options. I'll go with the flow. Okay. So example, if you take, we have Azure, Azure scale set. Okay, it works like automatic scaling when there is an issue in my virtual machine, based upon the criteria and condition what I defined at the time of scale set creation. It will spin up the new VM. Also, by default, take an example. If I define my cluster limit, three VM or 4 VM. If anything happened to any one of this VM, right, the availability set help me to scale my not scaling, replacing my failed virtual machine. And also we have anytime it's possible to spin up a new VM according to my requirement, because Azure is totally flexible. Basically, cloud itself, it's totally flexible. So these are the different possible way that I can make sure the scalability of my current Azure environment.
Okay, could you please explain how your Azure VM securities are ensured in your platforms?
So coming to Azure VM securities, right? So as I said initially, we have a subnet level network security group available. So when we define a policy across the VM, whichever comes under the same subnet, they'll get impacted. Only the allowed port can be accessible. So apart from that, each and every virtual machine, they have their own security group. So of course we have a subnet level. Also we do have an option to restrict them on top of a virtual machine level as well. So in both the area, whichever the port is really mandatory for the virtual machine, we have enabled. And inside VM, if you go, we have a monitoring tool. We have log management tool. Agents are part of it. So, and application monitoring and application service monitoring tool, everything is enabled by default across our platform. So using all these things, right, we ensure our environment is secure, and we ensure our platform is secure, especially virtual machines. So these are the area we can give our consideration.
Okay, that's good. What is the difference between fault domains and update domains?
So basically, when you go into the physical, infrastructure about Azure data center, if you go deep dive about regions and zones, we have a physical environment where we'll have a rack kind of service, where each and every rack, right, we used to call it as a fault domain, and each and every service which play around, which is something called as a update domain. So for the main reason we come for fault domain and update domain is only purely for high availability. When I have an application, when I'm trying to host it on virtual machine, I need to make sure that should be highly available, which means even though if something happened to my VM, right, anything happened back in hardware issue, or anything happened network outage to the specific rack, so I supposed to escape from that simple outage. That's why Azure introduced the concept of fault domain and update domain. So we need to plan in such a way my application, which is hosted in my virtual machine, the virtual machine distributed across multiple fault domain by the name of multiple update domain. So this way, right, which brings me a high availability and security to my application. So this is the difference between fault domain and update domain.
Okay, how Azure different from the AWS cloud?
Yeah, I have a basic idea about AWS as well, since we used to have a multi-cloud environment in my platform, but it's strong in Azure. So coming to the differences, right, I personally noticed AWS is a bit faster than Azure. When we go for creating any resources or if you're performing any activity, AWS is a bit faster than Azure. Apart from that, right, I am getting proper technical support from AWS immediately. The responsible person will be coming and they are helping on time, where I felt something missing in Azure standpoint. And coming to DevOps, right, Azure gives more priority to DevOps and many automation and things and stuff, right. It became more comfortable when we work with DevOps. They have many features and many implementation they have done. Apart from that, interface, user interface level, AWS looks good. Apart from that, technically and service level, right, here we have EC2, in here we have virtual machine, here people used to call it the VPC, here we are calling it the VNet, here you have three, their storage account, here also load balancer, there also load balancer, here people calling us auto scaling over there, availability set, availability scale set, and here route 53 over there, DNS. So here CloudWatch over there, monitor. So the technically, things are good, but only the naming convention will differ. Okay, from cloud to cloud, it's gonna differ the naming convention. Apart from that, right, there are lots of people are using AWS as far as my understanding. Azure, no, it's really good, comparing other cloud providers, but when compared to AWS, right, overall, no, need some improvisation. That's my personal opinion, but good, Azure good. We can have almost all the features are available even today. Okay, this is what my observation when compare Azure, AWS.
Okay, what is the best practice to maintain Azure infrastructure?
So basically, in order to maintain Azure infrastructure, best practices all about we need to ensure to go with cost efficiently when we are picking any virtual machine hardware, hardware configuration. We need to make sure the hardware consumptions are very less. Okay, unnecessarily we are supposed to not. Unnecessarily we are not supposed to waste any hardware. And by the way, when we go for setting up the network infrastructure and all, right, we need to make sure it should be properly secured, and we need to establish proper monitoring functionality end to end. Okay, because if something happened, we need to make sure a monitoring tool capturing the information, and we need to integrate some log analytics tool, Splunk or something like that. Even Azure itself by default has cloud, cloud network watcher kind of diagnostic log diagnostic tools. Those things are available. We need to make sure to enable those functionality. So in addition to that, if you ask me, it means we have to make sure the connectivity part from my on-premises that should be secure. Okay, and we have to make sure all the peerings are properly configured, and we need to make sure DB environment should be in private and private network. Okay, as much as possible, we need to avoid public connectivity direct to internet from my Azure. Okay, so likewise, and we need to make sure all the storage volumes and storages and the virtual machine disk, everything should be encrypted with the Azure key. So by these all the way, right, we can consider these all the best practice to maintain a proper Azure infrastructure and Azure platform.
Okay. My client wants to pull out report of available resources in specific resource manager. How will you do?
Yeah, basically, in order to pull the resource list, right? Yeah. So we have a couple of options. We can go ahead and we can pick the all resources service in Azure portal. From there, right, we can generate the report. Okay, that is by the way we can generate a CSV. We have many filter options. We can export as a CSV. That is one way. Else we can go with PowerShell script. We have PowerShell script modules are there. We need to go with Azure AZ model to be installed. We can write a script to pull out whichever the resources are available under the subscription or under any resource group. So these couple of way, most convenient and easiest one to go with.
Okay, could you please explain the services offered in the Azure cloud?
Services, yeah. Since I told you many times, virtual machine, Azure Active Directory, Azure IAM, and storage account, DNS, availability set, load balancers. Apart from that, log analytics, network watcher, monitoring, key vault, backup and recovery, and we have recovery service vault, and likewise lots of snapshot disk. Likewise, we have a many different services are available. I used to exposure with all these services. DevOps, ARM, and Azure Functions, Runbook. Again, these are the tools. I have a good familiarization on Azure.
Okay, Hariharan, I will handle the data to HR team. They will get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for today.